and that he is like obsessed with Hassan, but I don't know his lore.
Yeah, well, this is a lore deep dive. Welcome everyone. We were just catching up IRL
on the Instagram.
Oh yeah, we should put this on Instagram.
Remember to log on to. Oh look, there's messages. So sorry.
Oh yeah, you should put this on Instagram. Sorry. It notified me that we were live, and then this drives me kind of crazy with notifications. They pop up on your screen in like a high traffic area, in my opinion.
Yes. And then you click on it.
Yeah.
Please get out of the way.
Yeah. Okay. I would love for notifications to be more of a like in the upper right hand corner kind of situation. So that would
I'll be going to go and I'm like, no, I didn't want to.
I know.
Smile for Instagram.
Okay. Let's see. Smile for Blue Sky. Okay. I just realized that my pimple pop patch thing is very shiny.
So I only saw it when you did that.
Yeah. But, I got one cooking, so we're just going to have to be okay with that.
Real. About Blue Sky, I should get better about
Live with Jess.
Hello, friends.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Sorry, we're just a few millennials just trying to.
Yeah, I always mean to post to like put these up earlier once we've decided on our topics so that people can see it and plan, and then I inevitably get to the morning of and I'm like, oh yeah, I should schedule this.
There's so much going on in life right now. We're here and that's a lot.
Yeah. We have so many people here already. Look, you know what, Beth? You get the Punctual Polly Award because you early. Ready to learn. Well, we're gonna do some lore. I don't know how deep we're gonna get into this and even just thinking about where to start. The number of names that I'm like, Jess doesn't know who any of these people are.
Are they all people on YouTube?
Yeah, it's like a lot of it's because H3 is like an OG. Okay. So there's like a decade of lore.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So I don't really know. We're gonna have to figure out where to start. But I pitched this to Jess because I've been seeing a lot more clips coming up on TikTok of Ethan Klein crashing out about Hassan. Wow. And I'm like, if Jess is also getting these, I bet she has no idea. Like, she doesn't understand the full lore of who this person is and why this is like.
It just seems like he's obsessed with Hassan, which fair. I have seen the man, so I've seen what Ethan looks like, so I understand why he's angry.
Well, it's very sad. It's very sad because it's clear that at least Hassan thought they were legit friends.
I remember Hassan said something about it. I know months ago, and this could be even like 2023 post October. So I can't.
7th. 7th.
Is he Jewish, Ethan?
Yes, he's
I feel like I've seen
Israeli.
Some things. Again, but I never knew his background, but like I have seen him at least since like 2023 after what happened in Palestine, or the start of the escalation in reference to Hassan, but I'm still like,
what's going on here. Yeah. And we should state, I'm just going to leave this on the whole time because things are getting crazy.
You must protect yourself.
But I want to state for the record, I am not a historic H3 hater. This is I wore a Teddy Fresh cardigan, which is his wife's brand.
Oh,
so I have like,
cute. No,
I did not. But this is part of my inspo was I really liked how fun her streetwear is, her knitwear is. Mm-hmm. And it's stuff you can't always get other places. We're going to keep allegedly up because I don't want to get doxxed.
People love
Yeah. And we're just contextualizing. And then I will give my hypothesis that Jess will not appreciate, but I'm hoping other people who followed YouTuber drama will appreciate the analogy that I have. But I am not like in American terms, I have given them direct money. So that means that in America, that is basically like voting for them.
Yes.
So I am not a historic hater. And I like Hassan. I've liked him. I first started watching him when he started watching JCS and doing those reacts. But I wouldn't say both of us like Hassan, but I wouldn't say either of us are stans. Like I've never watched him live on Twitch. I've only watched him on YouTube.
Yeah, on YouTube, and sometimes I'm like, I can't watch the whole thing. So yeah, there's valid critiques of him. He just happens to be in a who posts that body on the gram, and I be looking.
He posts meat sometimes on the gram.
Yeah. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah. So, yeah, actively, I have not been paying attention, but the crash out has gotten so intense since Ethan did a content nuke on Hassan that it's coming up on my FYP. Clips of it are. So,
don't you hate that when you're, or not hate that, but sometimes something's going on and I'm like, okay, but it becomes so like everywhere. You're like, okay, damn, let me catch up. What is going on? I can't escape it.
Yeah, and it's pretty bad. Yeah, it's pretty bad. So I do want to mention up top, we're going to have to be talking with some frequency about the genocide in Palestine. What else? There's a R word adjacent things, or like revenge P kind of things. Not necessarily to the two main people here, but just like in the course of this lore, there will be references to that. God, what else do I feel like I want to give you a warning about? I will say that in the last week, somebody called CPS on H3, which is like so over the line and wild and like, anytime, my rule in general is once you take internet beef to the real life, you have lost the plot. Like,
it's funny you say that because my Yapcast that comes out this week talks about not this specifically, but in reference to people like calling people's jobs.
Oh god.
So is H3 Ethan, or is H3 an entity?
Okay, so yeah, and I should one last disclaimer. I am not an OG H3 person. I started watching H3 more once Frenemies got going. So I have caught up on lore, but I am not going to give an extensive full deep dive here. This is essentially just enough to contextualize what's going on is the goal here. Okay, so let's start with that. So H3 Productions is OG YouTube. They have been around, I'm going to say at least a decade. Like I started really watching YouTube in 2014, 2015, and they were well established at that point.
Okay.
And their original, so it's Ethan has always been the main person for H3, but his wife Hila was sort of like his co-host, co-collaborator. Like it was their joint project.
Okay.
But she's much more reserved, at least in her persona. So he's always kind of been the face, I would say.
Is she often on camera, or
she is on camera? I would say kind of in ebbs and flows. They have had 3 kids in the last few years, and then she does have this streetwear brand called Teddy Fresh that she's the CEO of. So I think she's been less involved in recent years.
Okay.
But she's like Ethan and Hila. I hear different people say Hila versus Hila. It's Hila. Hila. I want to say Hila, but then I hear some people saying Hila.
I believe whatever you say.
So no disrespect intended. That's just I'm not totally sure. But so it's the two of them, and they had H3 Productions.
Okay.
big YouTube channel, their kind of thing was reaction content and like critiquing other creators' content or like making funny sketches about it, or like it's always been humor, I would say, but the core of it would be like react content with some substantive critique baked into the reaction. And I would say in the lore of YouTube, the significance of their channel is that they were sued for copyright infringement over a reaction video. And they won that lawsuit. And I'm not totally sure if it's federal precedent. I'm not totally sure. But it is an oft-cited case now that essentially like established as a matter of law that reaction content is not copyright infringement.
Damn.
So they like very big free speech victory. I would describe Ethan Klein probably as a free speech absolutist.
Which little clips. Yeah.
Well, for at least for himself, recently not for other people, but for him, he's definitely a free speech absolutist. But yeah, like, and I think that's a really significant contribution to sort of like online culture, because reaction content is not a copyright violation, and like having that established legally is huge in terms of people feeling, you know, like they can make content without worrying about being sued.
Yeah.
So that was kind of their big, and I would say they were pretty, I'm trying to think of how to frame their place in the internet. Like, I would say they were pretty widely enjoyed and respected.
Okay.
I will say I've always, before I started watching them via Frenemies, I always kind of thought of them as a little trolly, a little like pot stirrer-y. Like they like to get in the drama and the muck. And hey, look at this channel.
Hello.
I also like to, you know, wink, wink, put me in the sty. Yeah. I am also, you know, rolling around in the mud. It's great. But I would not say that he portrayed himself as like a serious journalist or covering serious topics. A lot of he was in beef a lot. And the beef, or they, I'm not sure if it was him or they, but the beef is not usually that serious. It's usually like drama kind of beef.
This is funny to hear compared to just the clips that I've seen of him recently to.
Oh, yeah.
It just seems very different, but.
Yeah, this is why we're calling it a crash out, because he stayed, like he got into the drama, but I would say it didn't feel like he was taking the drama as serious. Like it seemed like he kind of enjoyed trolling, enjoyed the back and forth, and I don't know, it didn't feel like he was taking it too seriously. Like he saw it more for the click,
yeah,
versus it getting too deep. That was my perception, at least.
Gotcha.
His main nemesis pre Frenemies, I would say, was Keemstar. I don't know if you know who Keemstar is. This is where we start getting into like names I don't think you know.
Should I start Googling?
Oh, don't do that to yourself. No. Okay. Keemstar, aka Drama Alert, is like, in my opinion, allegedly a pretty scummy person who like exploits people for drama, which is, up until this point, I would not have put Ethan in that category necessarily. Ethan would enjoy the drama, but it didn't seem like he was, you know, an R-word apologist or like platform. Well, no. I take that back. He did platforms a lot of I think that was where some of his drama would come on. He would let pretty outrageous people come on and just say what they wanted to say, especially. Yeah. He also, I had a game for us to play at some point. Maybe we should still play it, but mark your bingo card. He has said the N-word on camera.
Oh.
Yeah. So I would say he was sort of like an edgelord. That's what it is. He kind of is edgelord, not full like incel gross manosphere, which is more what I would put Keemstar into.
Straddling the line.
Yeah, kind of. He like to feel like he's a little edgy, like, oh, I'm poking at you. So that's why his content pre-Frenemies never really did a lot for me, because I was always like, this kind of humor, it's a little hit or miss for me. Like, and I don't generally watch people who will say any kind of slur on the internet, it really in any context. So
okay, Ethan Edgelord. Got it.
Yeah. So they were making these sort of like high effort videos that like a lot of editing, a lot of research time, whatever. And then when the adpocalypse came, they transitioned pretty hard into podcasting, which is pretty much all they do now with just a few exceptions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if I'm not sure where they were in that wave, but I would say that they're like earlier adopters of the OG YouTubers realizing that they couldn't just do their old content and that podcasting was more lucrative.
Yeah.
Like getting sponsors and all, having longer form content so you have longer view time. Like, I think they realized that they needed to shift to that. I also want to say that one or both of them were having some mental health issues and needed to take a step back for a while. That sounds like something that happened. So they transition hard into podcasting. This is where he gets some of his controversies, like saying the N-word. Some of the people that he had on are allowed to, just like spew their nonsense or whatever. He wasn't, I would not say that he's a great interviewer. So like he kind of wouldn't really know how to like control the conversation in a way that might make that a more interesting conversation.
Yeah.
So it was rough, but eventually they kind of got into a groove and started getting a little bit more traction and people liking the new format more. And then there's this big watershed moment, and this is where I started watching them again, because I'd always thought of him as sort of like an edgelord.
Mm-hmm.
He has sort of like a progressive-ish turn around this time where he's like, hey, I'm realizing that some of the stuff I used to say and do was like more fucked up. I have a family now. Like, I'm kind of realizing that maybe I need to outgrow some of this and like be more supportive of LGBTQIA plus people and like, apologize for racist controversies or platforming people. So like he starts, and I mean, this is a data point. You can decide how to take this. Mm-hmm. This does coincide with him having sponsors for the first time.
Oh.
So
for that data.
I'm of the opinion you can't, unless you actually know somebody in real life, you don't really know what's in people's hearts. But I also like to take people at their word when they say they've been changing, like if their actions match it, I guess. Mm-hmm. Like I had a huge change in my political, moral landscape, like profoundly. Like, from being like a fundamentalist evangelical to like a leftist pinko commie or whatever. So like people can change. I do believe that. And I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. And he was showing like he had the apologies. I saw a video of him reacting to somebody who'd like done all the critiques, and he actually like responded substantively to those critiques. And like if he didn't think he did anything wrong, he didn't say he was sorry. If he thought he did, he did. And I was like, okay, like let's see where this goes. I'm willing to open the door to liking you.
Okay.
So then Frenemies starts. This is a show. It's like a sub. They have on the podcast, they have like different sub shows. So like one is called like H3 After Dark, where it's like more raunchy.
Old content.
Yeah, there's like loosely different formats for different days of the week. And I should keep in mind, this man, these people, because Hila at this point is really taking a step back for the Teddy Fresh stuff. He and his crew, so he has like a staff that like everybody knows, and they kind of have become personalities in their own right.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in the studio like 4 or 5 days a week, podcasting, live streaming for like 3 to 4 hours at a time. Like these are It's a lot of time to be on camera saying shit.
Yes. Oof.
I mean, an hour of this takes it out of me. I really don't understand how people
gotta recover. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the show that drew me in fully, because I'd started casually watching. Also, I have a family member who loved H3, so it was like, oh, it gives us something to talk about. Like, I'll watch some of this. Do you know who Trisha Paytas is?
Yes.
Okay, so Trisha Paytas started dating Hila's brother. Okay, so now she is dating, like seriously dating, and spoilers, has since married and is now having her third child with Hila's brother. So she is becoming Ethan's sister-in-law.
Wow.
That guy's name is Moses. This is where some of the like R-word stuff allegations come in. I'm not even going to get into that.
All right.
I feel like we could have a whole lore dump on Trisha Paytas.
Well, yeah. And I don't even know, like, I feel like I know too much to not even have like followed her. And I know that's not even like a quarter.
I mean, talk about a troll. To the point where I kind of respect it, to be honest. It's like, it is a hustle.
Well, that makes more sense. I saw something about Ethan yelling about something about Trisha, and I was like, I can't. I don't know what this is.
Well, so they had beef over Gabbie Hanna.
Lord.
Do you know who Gabbie Hanna is? Okay. Oh, you do know who Gabbie Hanna is. Okay. So some of this is going to make a little more sense to you then when we get to the end. I'm excited. That excites me, honestly. Yes, as Sarah says, Trisha Paytas would be a 20. There is so much Trisha Paytas lore. So it's sort of like an enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of scenario. And they're now going to be like in the same family. So like, I think, so they start the show called Frenemies. And like, they're both kind of reforming trolls who like don't always agree on things, but like they're both very charismatic. Mm-hmm. So it was very entertaining. And like Trisha had what I would say at the time was at the beginning stages of being controlled, but like not fully controlled BPD or borderline personality disorder. They have been very open about, you know, the treatment of that. So I don't feel like that, but on the show, there were several like blow ups where it was like, is this going to be the last show where she would like storm out?
Were these live?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No. They were not. Actually, these were not live. I don't believe. Oh. These were pre-filmed. But they would do the show, and at the time, it was at the same nexus of Trisha. Like Trisha found out some stuff about Shane Dawson, who had been her best friend. Do you know who Shane Dawson is?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it tells you everything you need to know about Trisha, that was her best friend. There you
go.
Which I said, I will say, the longer I watch YouTube, the more I'm like, I need to stop giving people second chances. I'm never wrong that they are not. Like, recently I was like, maybe Tana Mojo has actually grown up. And then like this whole racism thing popped off again. And I was like, oh, no, she hasn't. She's got Jeffree Star on her podcast. Love that. I try... every time it's like, I'm trying to think of the number of times people have not proven to be awful, and I can't think of really.
Yeah. Who's that good?
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. So at that time, it was right when Trisha's relationship with Shane blew up. Like, because she felt like he had betrayed her. So they stopped being friends. So that was like a huge drama. And then she's got this podcast with Ethan where they're talking about it. Then David Dobrik. Do you know David Dobrik?
Yes.
Okay. His whole scandal blew up because of his filming somebody getting the night someone got R-worded by one of his friends, allegedly. That whole thing. And then what he did to Jeff Wittick. Like,
he's the one who's like recently come back as like school something, or like he like went away for a little while, came back. Is that him? No.
I would love that I don't think that's him. Like, he's just been making money on Snapchat, I think. Like, I think he kind of got run off YouTube.
People talk about like David. I feel like I don't know, maybe he dipped and came back with a rebrand or something. Like
Yeah.
and now he's like a bodybuilder or something.
Oh my
Uh,
God. I hope that that's true. Because he seems like he's a wee man. So the idea of him being like this short,
oh well,
swole,
yeah. There's like a
horrible person is very
his
funny to me.
transformation. He's like got hella shredded. That's really the only way I know his name. I didn't know him like on the internet, but I'm like, no, I know that name, and that is
Yeah. No, he's another one that I never had good vibes about, but I was like, everybody loves him. I don't find him funny, and I find his humor really mean to the people around him, but maybe it's just me. No, it was not just me. But Trisha, so that whole thing was blowing up, and it was at the same time that Trisha was kind of like exposing her relationship with one of his best friends named Jason Nash, who I don't know if you know. Okay. This is really just an entire video of names that don't have any resonance with
and
Jess, but
are all of these people YouTube
yeah,
creators?
these are all YouTube or
That's
YouTube adjacent creators.
crazy.
So like Trisha had beef with David. She was talking about how like David came like when she was in the psych hold and like made it worse, and it was a whole thing. So like on Frenemies, there was Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star, and David Dobrik drama that was popping off. So like, yes, Jess doesn't even bless you that you don't even know who these people are. I wish I didn't either. But like it was the hottest drama, and like there was one person or like one Frenemies like was commenting on all of these dramas at the same time, and they're so charismatic. So it was like bringing all these people who like Trisha Paytas to Ethan and to H3, and all of these H3 people to Trisha. So it was like this convergence of audience and brand. Liza Koshy, yes, he did. And David's
Vine.
the vlog squad was all from Vine.
Oh my God, Vine.
I know. Yeah, I'm glad that this is vaguely interesting if you don't know who these people are. But so it's like, you know, synergy, brand synergy. They're like, but it always had this sort of like volatile veneer around it because, as Sarah said, every time they would order Domino's pizza, Trisha would walk out. Not totally,
So
but like
their frenemies with their these like breakdowns or whatever they're having, those are sponsored videos or sponsored podcasts?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So and it was hella entertaining. Like I specifically remember being in my living room putting together a bookcase and watching the first video they did about Jeffree Star and just being like, I am eating this up like the little piggy that I am. I'm loving this. Yeah, and I also love like any kind of drama or goss I'm here for. Like it could be your work goss, it can be
I feel like I missed out on a lot because I love me some hot mess reality TV.
Yeah.
So like, but I didn't start watching YouTube seriously till like I would only watch YouTube to watch music videos or like funny videos for the longest time. I didn't even, this sounds so silly, but like I didn't seriously start watching YouTube till like 2016.
Yeah.
I didn't realize like people were making a thing out of it that they regularly posted content, and I was like, what
is this? Yeah, well, I started watching it when I lived in Canada in grad school because I had no money for any kind of like
you're like
TV or anything. Like all I could get was free content. Yes, this is a very 2010s discussion. And yes, this is another thing. This was happening during lockdown / like towards the end of COVID.
Okay.
Not that COVID's over, but towards the end of quarantine COVID era. So like, you know, everybody's at home, nobody has anything going on. So everybody has
internet is unmatched.
Yeah.
Oh, 2020 and 2021. Like even like that era of booktube, like because everybody was out at home on the phone.
Yeah. So people were locked in. So eventually I will say through those conversations, Trisha's a troll and she would say really offensive things. And like in general, Ethan's responses always seemed to me to be like, the response I would have. Like, they seem really, you know, progressive. It seemed like he was demonstrating like, hey, I'm trying to do this collaboration with you. You're about to be a part of my family. But like, I'm also demonstrating that I have changed. Like, I don't agree with the things you're saying. And I was like, okay, another data point of like, maybe somebody has actually grown up and actually changed. Frenemies breaks down for reasons we won't even get into, but it stops. But that was then the hottest drama. And watching their back and forth, I felt like his responses were like much more reasonable. Not a high bar to clear when you're talking about a beef with your fans. But like, he was talking, a lot of his responses were focused on like, hey, I have staff. I have to be able to like provide a, you know, equitable work environment. Like things like that I was like, this feels more adult. Okay. So then I wasn't seriously watching until he then starts a podcast with Hassan. So now we're kind of coming up into more recent era. So they had a podcast together on the H3H3 channel called Leftovers. And it was specifically framed as a left perspective political podcast.
Okay.
So, and the precipitation of this happening, I think, is that do you know who Steven Crowder is?
Wait.
Right?
Yes.
That guy. So Ethan trolled him, and to this day, I have to give him props for this because this was glorious. He knew that Steven Crowder did not want to debate Sam Seder. Do you know who Sam Seder is? He's like a left content creator. He does debates. He has great information. At least last time I saw, I think he's still legit. But so he knew Steven Crowder was afraid to debate Sam Seder. So Ethan got Steven Crowder to agree to debate Ethan. And then when they logged on, he had Sam Seder on there too. Got Steven Crowder to run away from him like a little bitch. That was highly entertaining. And I'm like, this is the kind of troll content I'm here for. Like, this is the kind I'm here for this. Yeah. So I think through that, like, he saw all the clicks that got. So like, people are interested maybe in a little bit more of a political thing. He'd interviewed Hassan, I think, and like they had made a connection and become friends. So they decided they're going to do this podcast. Okay. So Leftovers, I think, ran, I want to say about a year before October 7th. I want to say that Leftovers started sometime in early 2022, maybe.
Okay.
So you can vouch for this. Anybody who watches Hassan, I just want to put this foundation in here. Anybody who watches Hassan for any length of time, do you think that there could be any doubt in their mind that he is a leftist, socialist, commie? Okay.
Pretty quick.
Pretty quick. Do you think that you could host a political podcast with him and not know that?
No.
Okay. Let's just establish that.
Impossible.
Yeah. So things are going good. They had a couple of, like, it was an interesting show because Ethan was very clearly sort of like more of a Democrat who was like left curious. So it was an interesting dialogue of like, okay, Hassan's like an actual leftist. He actually, you know, knows what the fuck he's talking about with politics. Ethan isn't really a politics guy, but he's getting more interested in it. So it was an interesting dichotomy. They would do a lot of troll content on, you know, right-wing grifters, which is fun. I do enjoy some troll content. Yes. And I was like, love this. I'm getting troll content from a leftist perspective. I think this is Hassan's whole shtick. Yes. Or half of his shtick, which I'm like here for. I think it's fun. I think it's good for young men who are looking for that kind of content, and doesn't have to come from like Fresh and Fit or whoever. Like, oh God. Yeah. So I was here for that. But then October 7th happens. And keep in mind, Ela from Israel served in the IOF.
Oh.
Ethan, I believe, was born in Israel, but I don't think he was raised there. But his family has strong ties to Israel. He is married to an Israeli woman. Like, they are very... So I was like, cringing waiting for this leftovers because I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And I'm going to say, I will stand by, and I think this was Hassan's perspective and why he gave Ethan the benefit of the doubt for a long time. I felt like that conversation that they had initially about what was the genocide in Gaza, Hamas, all that, was a good example of somebody having their perspective challenged in a public conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them cried. Like, it was a really, I felt like, good faith conversation between somebody who had been indoctrinated in Zionism having that challenged.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sadly, this is where the story goes very wrong. Because from that point on, how to say it? So even at the beginning, and this is a lot of what Hassan was challenging on him in that initial video, is he has been very focused in the entirety of what is happening in Palestine on people critiquing Ethan for not having, for repeating Zionist talking points, knowingly or unknowingly. So like, I think especially early on, you could probably give him some benefit of the doubt of like, hey, you grew up immersed in this.
Yeah.
Maybe this hasn't been challenged when you don't realize this is a Zionist talking point. But he would say that, and then somebody would come back at him and be like, okay, well, but when you're saying that, what you are implying is that what's happening in Palestine is okay, and it's not. You're saying that you don't think it's okay, but then you're repeating these talking points. And so what would happen is Ethan would get spun up on Twitter with people going back and forth with them, and then eventually decide that they were anti-Semitic and just like write them off. And he essentially got increasingly frustrated with Hassan over time because he felt like Hassan's community were the ones doing that to him, and that Hassan was not controlling them from critiquing his Zionist talking points.
Oh.
So, and Hassan's point was like, well, if you say a Zionist talking point, you can't be that bad that people assume that you are a Zionist, even if that's not how you actually feel. If you're repeating a talking point, like, again, we're all strangers here on the internet. I can really only take people at their word and action.
Yeah, especially if you keep doing it.
Especially if you keep doing it and doubling down and say that, and eventually conclude that anybody who is critiquing you must be anti-Semitic. So that dynamic continued. Ethan came onto Hassan's stream, which I attempted to watch and couldn't get through. It was a very different vibe because Ethan was so defensive and he was saying things that were so inflammatory, and then would just like try to tone police Hassan, tone police the chat. I mean, like, he literally at one point compared Jews for Peace, which is a Jewish organization dedicated to trying to stop the genocide in Palestine and in the apartheid state. He compared them to Jewish collaborators during the Holocaust. And it's like, and Hassan challenges him and is like, when you say that, what do you expect people to take from that? Like, even if that's not what you're meaning, because he then tries to like backtrack and be like, what I mean is like, you can't just say that all, Jewish people are not a monolith. And he's like, okay, but like, that's not what you just said. Like that might have been your intention of what you were trying to communicate, but that is not what you said. And what you did say is highly offensive and reeks of Zionism.
Jesus.
So throughout this, Ethan and Eli maintain that they are not, they want there to be peace. They want there to be a ceasefire. But the problem is like, they're talking, like they say that, but then if you look at their actions, that doesn't match their actions. Like Eli mentioned, Gallant, who has a active, I think it's ICJ warrant out for his arrest for war crimes. Eli describes as a good guy who's like a moderating influence on Bibi. And it's like, no, like, no.
Moderating.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just things like, I mean, they're going to Israel for vacation. I get that they have family there, but like, if you think that a genocide is happening, if I thought that my mom lives in the other side of the state from me, if I thought there was a genocide happening in the other side of the state, I'd be trying to get her out of there. But
You're
I
not
would not be going there, certainly not for vacation.
where you can look over a wall.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, never mind. I'm over here.
Yeah. And as time has gone on, the thing is, he just keeps doubling and tripling down. And there's no like, he's just gotten to a point where he's extremely black or white on it. He thinks anybody who calls him a Zionist is actually being anti-Semitic. This isn't what he would say his position is, but functionally, if I am judging him by his actions and how he chooses to use his platform, that is the basis of my opinion. The way he uses his platform makes it clear to me that he now conflates Zionism with Jewishness.
Yeah.
So to be anti-Zionist is to be anti-Jewish.
Yeah.
Which is not, for the record, that is not the case. There are many, many Jews who are vehemently opposed to the state of Israel on moral and religious grounds. There are like Jews who are religiously against the existence of the state of Israel. So like, it is not to his very poorly made point, Jewish people are not a monolith. Like, to be Jewish is not to be Zionist, and vice versa. Despite
say that and then go, okay.
Yeah. So, and he also, this is where it's like, I don't really want to get into the tit for tat of it, because honestly, other people have done breakdowns explaining some of the tit for tat. I would recommend just going to watch some of those. Like, who I'll try to remember. I know, Noah Samson just did an amazing video that's mostly just explaining why trying to say that what's happening is not genocide is crazy. At this point, it's a great video. Made me cry. That's not hard, but it did make me cry. Just reminding myself of like, we have a quote unquote ceasefire and this is still what is happening to people. But anyway, there's a lot of tit for tat. There's a lot of accusations about what Aila did or didn't do during her time in the IOF and how into it she was or wasn't. There's a lot of like, possibly targeting Islamic creators, definitely using language that could imply that anybody who's Islamic or Muslim is promoting terrorism, or again, maybe not their intentions. I can't judge what their intentions are, but the result seems to be an over targeting of people who are not Christian or Jewish, and calling them like terrorist propagandists, basically. So that's been escalating, and Hassan very pointedly for a very long time was just like, I don't know what's going on with Ethan. I wish him the best. There's no bad blood on my part.
Okay, that makes sense. I remember those videos and like clips and stuff, and like seeing that, and I was like, oh Lord, what happened with Ethan?
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
For a long time, because I think, and I want to say he said this in a recent video, because I've been catching up on the videos in the last couple of days, where I think even said this of like, hey, that initial Leftovers podcast we did, I thought was a genuine connection and a genuine moment of someone being confronted and like having good faith dialogue, and that's what I've been framing my response through since. And it just hit a point. I forget what exactly happened, but there was just a tipping point where like Ethan now, like half of his thumbnails have Hassan in them. He is overtly calling Hassan like I don't even know if I can say some of these words. Do you know what I mean? Like, just in terms of like promoting terror. He really believes that by Hassan interviewing a possible Houthi soldier, that means he was platform. But if you've watched that interview, it's very clearly like him interviewing somebody on the ground and getting their perspective, as he has done with many. Like, I've seen many interviews like that on a variety of topics. Like, it's,
yeah.
I don't really see the like platforming component. It's more of a like interviewing somebody on the ground and like getting their perspective on what it's been like for them to live through the genocide that they have because of what the Saudis have done to Yemen for years.
Well, I'm like, I think this is where words mean things.
Mm-hmm.
And just having somebody doing an interview is not the same as platforming it. Does that person have a platform to be like, like that's, I watched, I think a part, I don't think I watched the full thing, but I remember people being like, I can't believe he's doing this interview with this guy. I'm like,
I think this is interesting. Like, agree, disagree,
not
whatever.
Interviewing BB.
Well, it's not, and it's also not interviewing Nick Fuentes. This person doesn't have the same structural power that some of these extremist influencers do.
Yeah, this is somebody real life in their experience of these, catastrophic things going on in the part of the country that we only see things about, don't ever hear from.
Yeah, so, especially in American media. Like, it's very hard for us to hear that perspective. So, like,
yeah, you really.
Yeah, so he's very focused on that. He is convinced that Hassan has like a coordinated campaign to ruin his life. Like, I think from his actions and statements, I think he genuinely believes that for reasons that are completely unhinged.
That I don't know if it was both of them, had to take breaks because of mental. Do you think there is something like he's like having a break, or you just think he's just delulu that Hassan is after him?
I think this gets to my opinion. Allegedly, this is my opinion based on watching lots of drama, and I think that he has reached a point in his YouTube career where his old ways don't work the way they used to. And I think this entire situation is a lot of projection about I think that he sees numbers declining and he associates that with a conspiracy versus, hey, you cultivated like people like me. Hey, I'm buying the merch. I'm enjoying the content. I'm a progressive person. And then you have this flip and it's like, ooh, I don't really want to watch that. And I think he doesn't want to accept that could be what happened.
That those are the consequences from his actions.
Yeah, like
somebody's doing this to me.
I think he particularly really seems to believe that Reddit and Twitch are specifically targeting him.
And it's because of Hassan.
And it's at Hassan's bidding, which it's like, do you think Hassan has that much power in those platforms? I know he gets a lot of numbers on Twitch, but like,
no, bud.
Like, I don't think it's to that level. I mean, no more so than Ethan has pull with YouTube, for example. Like, I do think, Ethan has met with Susan, what's her face? Like, Ethan is a big creator on YouTube and does have pull, but he can't just he can't just get people kicked off the platform with one call.
That doesn't, I'm so sorry, but you said Susan, what's her face? And my brain said, B. Anthony.
Oh, Susan B. Anthony, CEO of YouTube, risen from the dead to bring us Mr. Beast content.
Yes, like that is wild.
So he truly
I think his content now, is it about Hassan and Reddit?
It's like, I think it's generous to say it's like 50%. And he drops Hassan's name the way that you would drop like the boogeyman's name. Like the clips I've seen on my FYP and stuff are him like literally having conspiracy, like invoking Hassan's name as if it's like invoking the devil. Like, it's pretty wild. And he has like random conspiracies. Like, he's convinced that Hassan did not actually adopt his dog, that he secretly bought this designer dog and fooled everyone. I saw one clip with him talking about his armpit hair pictures and how it's
what?
Uncomfortable, the fixation level. And he really, I think this gets to my overall hypothesis is I think Ethan is having the exact same journey that Gabbie Hanna had, which is she was convinced that Jessie Smiles told the internet that she was an R-word apologist. and that it's Jesse's fault that people think that about her. And if you go back, what Jesse continually said was like, if you tweet X, people will think X. I'm not the one doing that. You're the one saying that. And then you're blaming me for people thinking that you have an opinion that you say you don't have, but your words say that you have.
Yeah, your actions. You're doing all of these things. And you're like, don't look at what I do. Listen to what I'm saying.
But it's like, it's like, I'm not the kind of person who would be an R-word apologist. So therefore I can't be one. And it's like, that's not how this works, baby. Like, you gotta take some inventory and say like, wow, if I do say that, maybe that does mean that. And maybe I need to challenge that in myself and think about like, do I actually believe that? Yes or no? But like,
self-reflection, it can be hard.
Yeah.
But we must.
But and Gabbie Hanna had her whole crash out where she was blaming YouTube and saying that she was being shadow banned. Like, she did this exact same thing, just over a different topic and something that did not include genocide, though it did include R-word, which is hard. Yeah. And so, yeah, and Ethan is also like gathering all this intel on Hassan from the Destiny subreddit. I don't know if you know who Destiny is, but he's like,
who's Destiny?
You don't want to know. Okay. He's like a sex pest.
Oh God.
He's a perv. He is just a troll. Did you see that debate Norm Finkelstein had where he was yelling at a YouTuber with blue hair? Okay. He had the gall to debate Norman Finkelstein about anything having to do with Palestine, and he's just he's a professional devil's advocate.
Oh God.
It's insufferable and the like lowest common denominator of intellectual life. Like it's just like anybody who thinks that this is legitimate is like brain dead, to be honest. Like, read a book.
Yikes.
So that's the context of this crash out, is that basically Ethan has like pinned himself into a prison of his own making in his own mind and is doubling, tripling down, cannot see another perspective, is genuinely, I think, convinced that Hassan is trying to ruin his life. Oh, and then to top this all off, he made a content nuke. This was a type of video that the channel is very famous for, where it's like they go through and like pick apart people's content and explain why it's terrible. He did one on Hassan, and the main takeaway, like, I honestly tried to watch it and just kept laughing, so I was like, this is so bad. But the main takeaway was like, Hassan is a communist. Hassan is a socialist, and communism is on the rise here in America. He's anti-American. And I'm like,
did you say communism is on the rise?
That part. It's like, we're literally in the middle of a fascist takeover. Like, what are you talking about? This is like the opposite of time.
Have meanings.
And then he tries to say like, I didn't realize he was this left. And it's like, sir, like, what? This is crazy. You guys co-hosted a political podcast and you're now trying to tell me you did not realize that Hassan was a leftist?
Why are you lying? Wow. Even?
Yeah. I do want to mention, I appreciate this comment, and like, I really appreciate that perspective, and it's something that we don't get to see in America very often, and like, I would like to see more of, just to,
because I think everyone, or obviously we come from our background, so I think people are just thinking, well, you join the U.S. Army voluntarily, so these people fighting with this thing, and it's like, but those are also very different things. Like, joining the military here is very different in other countries. I don't know. I feel like it's hard because simultaneously we should know this much about this many people going on, but also we need these different perspectives to at least get different perspectives about what's going on and not just being told to us through our little American lens.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think he did the right thing by having that chance and doing it. And I didn't even get into this because I saw it happening and it also just made me sad. But
who's Adam McIntyre?
Remember Colleen Ballinger, Toxic Gossip Train?
Yes.
That was one that was pre-crash out, and Ethan was very instrumental in platforming some of those victims to help them tell their stories. Adam being one of them. And then it seems like he's kind of turned on Adam, and I don't really know why. I've not been keeping up because it made me sad because he's young And it seems like he has a lot of anxiety, and I'm sure that was very anxiety inducing for him.
How old
So
is Ethan?
Ethan, I don't know. I've heard Hassan referred to him as a 50-year-old man. I'm not sure if he's actually that old, but he's certainly I would say he's at least 10 years older than me. So 40s, man, that is almost 50.
Don't say that all out.
I know.
I too wish socialism was on the rise.
Yeah, for real. But that's like he's like Hassan is dangerous. He's spreading communism to the youths. And it's like, God, I wish, I hope.
That's funny. You know,
from your mouth to God's ears.
Steven Crowder, Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens. Those people are dangerous.
Pool, like,
yes. All of those little yappa right-wing grifter pundit things. Oh my God. It's like not funny, but I'm so sorry. That is so funny that he's like, he's a communist.
That was like his big mic drop of conclusion is like, and it made me remind me in Clue when it's like, I know what you are. You're a communist.
Yeah, this is 39, but I'm sorry, this photo of him,
he's 39
thinking has aged him because he looks a hard 47.
Okay, I'm gonna just tell you, I'm 38. Am I 38? No, I'm 37 still. I'm about to be 30. I've gotten to that point where I don't know my age anymore.
This man looks rough.
I did assume that he was at least 8 years older than me.
And it's not just because you can have salt and pepper hair, you can have gray hair and look great. He just looks haggard.
Yeah, I don't know. But he's not being a good boss. I do think that his staff have a moral obligation at this point to look for other employment but
that would seem wise.
Because I wouldn't want to be associated with him. I feel like it's not good for their brand.
A bunch of podcasts, or is it?
Oh yeah, he's just yapping all day, every day, and I feel bad for his staff. Like, it's clear that they're often uncomfortable with his ranting and raving.
Yeah. Is it like one of those things where the people who are like video editing your sound, like it pans to them? Like sometimes you see them on the thing and
they all have sort of like different kind of producer type roles. So like they're on there talking to him. Like they are on screen talent at this point, in addition to whatever editing and other things that they do. Okay. So if I were them, would be looking for something else. Especially Olivia. Shout out to Olivia. I feel like she's a prisoner and she's just young and she grew up watching H3. So I think she has some hero worship. And I'm like, girl, you are so talented. Get out of there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this job market, I don't know, so they might be stuck for a while.
Yeah. Here's my fan fiction journey. I would love it for her to become one of Hassan's editors. That would be an amazing turn.
My fan fiction journey. She makes the cross.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He might just send himself into the sun with how much he might overreact.
I don't know what would happen. But, people who've called CPS on him, that's so over the line. Like, do you know what I mean? Like this whole crash out he's having is its own punishment. Yeah. Like he looks unhinged. He seems to be unhinged. He certainly seems to be beyond reasonableness when it comes to this topic.
It doesn't seem like we have this disagreement. Here's me expressing my feelings. He's like, that is wild. Calling CPS
Call CPS on the Ruby Frankies of the world. You know what I mean?
Have you seen the Resilient Jenkins on TikTok? Have you heard about them?
I specifically scroll away. Are they the
ones with never watched
kids in the
her videos, but I've seen it through other people, and I'm like, she keeps coming up. Like, apparently they just like put their inside cats. I was like, just a mess. So calling,
like, that's who you need to be calling CPS on. People who are clearly actually putting there. Or who's that woman whose her baby was in the NICU and she unplugged them so the nurse would come bring her a sandwich or whatever. That's who you need to be calling CPS on. Don't call CPS on people over freaking drama.
I literally, like I said in the video I think it's coming on Friday, because there's this been drama going on TikTok, of course there is, but there's a therapist and people have been trying to get them fired. And I'm like, now there are some instances where I think where people blatantly put themselves out there that they are harmful, that they like hate a certain group of people that they directly work with.
Yeah.
And like maybe, I mean, I'm never gonna do it, but some people just be like, I don't like you, I'm gonna try to get you fired. And
there's
I'm
a
like,
difference between I don't like you and I think you're a danger to other people.
Yes.
Like,
and I don't think people are just saying, I don't like you, or maybe I disagree with you in this moment. I want to ruin your life. And I'm like, that is wild to me.
Yeah, that it's just, you don't want to take internet beef.
On The Sims.
Yeah.
Do you take all of those things? More people need to play The Sims, honestly.
Yeah. Yes, the wife is part of this. I've seen clips of her off screen yelling like, we hate Hassan or whatever. Like, I think she lets him kind of be the face of it, but it's clear she's also in the tank with him on this. And I will also say, to me, the biggest knock, I guess, against him in terms of the content is he claims that he wants the war, as he calls it, to end. He claims that he believes that Palestinians deserve to live in peace and comfort. And yet in this entire thing, he is continually centering himself in this, because like everything I just described to you doesn't matter. Like, what matters is that there are go look at pictures of what Gaza looks like right now. Mm-hmm. Go look up what is happening with this alleged ceasefire that is, people are still dying, people are still being hurt, and he is centering himself and he is denigrating people who are trying to do something. Like he made fun of and like belittled creators for Palestine and all the money that they raised. He's like, that doesn't do anything. I mean, it's good, but it doesn't do any. It's just like, well, they're doing something. Okay. Yeah. Like, what the fuck? What are you doing? You're spending your time being butthurt that people are taking you at your word when you say things.
Yeah.
Like, you are centering yourself and your quote unquote victimization in this, rather than centering people who are in desperate need of solidarity and resources and support. And the fact that that's what you're spending your energy, and that's where your ire is on yourself and how you perceive that you have been wronged, says a lot about your character.
It's like, well, what about me?
What about guys? Me? When I say things that Zionists say, people think I'm a Zionist. Oh, and I'm like, God, I don't know what to tell. Like, you're an adult,
especially now. Sure, right after October, November, there are some people who, you know, that's your instinct to be like, I'm from Israel, my family's from Israel. These things, especially since in the beginning there was a lot of like misinformation, or we didn't get all the information. But it's been long enough now that you should know better.
Yeah. Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, ICJ, ICC, like, it's not a fringe opinion to say this is genocide.
Our government,
just because our government is trash,
does not make
and is
everybody else wrong.
Yeah, just because our government is co-committing those war crimes doesn't make them less egregious. Like, it's.
I recently, I mean, I see them, but saw it was another aerial view. I think it was because it's Ramadan.
Yeah. Correct? Ramadan Mubarak? Is that how you say Happy Ramadan?
It sounds correct, but don't ask me.
Okay.
Like, when I see it written out, that's how I would say it in my head.
Mubarak?
But there was one, it was showing like a table they put to, it was, you know, and I don't know what part of Palestine or in Gaza it was, that they had like a table for Ramadan, which I was like, but you see the rest of it, it's just crumbled. Like, when I think about, even if a ceasefire meant like everything stops, aid is going in there, like, when you just look at that destruction, how does
it's just
what, and that there are people under there.
I know. It's just sorry, I'm just picturing the most recent one I saw. It's like the scale of human destruction and devastation and suffering, like just the amount of suffering is just so it's so sad. Even if you, I just don't see how you could see that and have not have anything except for compassion and just like anger that anybody would do that to somebody else. And no matter who they are, no matter what they've done, like there's literally nothing you can do as a human being to deserve what is being done. Like literally nothing. It's so sad.
We'll look at it and somehow are.
Yeah. So the fact that you can look at that and then still be mad that people are canceling you, quote unquote, on the internet or snarking on you on Reddit, like I don't.
Reddit. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
What? That is insane. Like the amount of, it was already, when you were talking about the amount of content they do,
Yeah.
that already was exhausting. And then like, that seems more exhausting if half of your content is this. Like do something.
Yeah. I think he's just chasing the clicks because I think people do click on it sometimes still. Like, I mean, but views are down. Like you can only be ranting this much about the same thing for so long until it's just like
someone's like, damn, another one. Yeah, it's like, okay, you need to, that's
yeah. So that's the context of these things that are popping up in your FYP.
Okay. That explains so much. Even if I didn't know all the players, maybe one day I'll get your 27-part Trisha Paytas.
Oh my God. There's so many. It's like, I feel like we could do a full Gabbie Hanna deep dive. We could do Trisha Paytas. I don't want to do Keemstar because he just grosses me out. But
I really am sad that I missed real those days of YouTube because I wasn't aware of it.
Yeah, the drama, there's like a line between drama and just sad, and we stopped having fun drama a while ago on YouTube, and most of it's just sad.
Yeah. And like even I wasn't with watching beauty YouTubers, and I did watch some videos there. Speaking of, side note, have you I started a video, I don't know if I finished it, but it was about Raw Beauty Christie and kind of how she's been on this.
What a journey.
I was like, wait, because I remember when I found, okay, I'm not well versed in the YouTube dramas, so I don't know if this is part of it, but when the Jaclyn Hill lipsticks,
she had the microscope.
I was watching every video.
That was so fun.
Christy had one.
Yes.
So I had watched some of her videos, like, because I would watch Jacket. Just because, like, if I like their personality, I'm like, I'm not even here for the makeup. Y'all are just funny. So, like, I also would put on, like, Raw Beauty Christie, and there was somebody else that I liked.
I like Raw Beauty Christie a lot.
And then I saw a video, and then I was like, because I know that she had a baby, but then they were talking about her.
That was when it.
And her sister and like a parent, a homeschool. Oh
yeah, that's a whole mess. I saw that video too. I think we talked about it. Yeah, Raw Beauty Christie. Yeah, she had a baby and got crunchy trad wife.
Sad.
Yeah.
Mara giving us the lore.
Yeah.
Your mom has been going in.
He has since the beginning. Yeah. Well, because his original thing with her was that she wasn't condemning. She was still working with James Charles, which we could do a whole thing on James Charles. I mean,
oh my God. Last night, jump scare. I thought I had him blocked. I don't know if he has a burner, but that face came up and I was like, oh! And I had to block it. Oh no.
I will say sometimes when I need a cringe laugh, I will put on his cover of
Mara.
Red Lobster. What is it? Pasta and Lobster. That song. Do you remember that trend? He be feeding me pasta and lobster.
Yes.
So, yeah. He does a cover of it, and it is the cringiest, funniest thing I've ever seen.
Just when he speaks, I don't know, can't even do it. Just sounds so fake, and I just can't. I can't take it.
I will say, I am proud. And Olive from Books and Olive Books. I never remember her handle. She and we talked about this on Twitter. It is in the public record. She and I, even when he did his like Uno reverse and the original thing he had with Tati and Jeffrey, were like, Okay, but none of this is actually negating the fact that like it seems like you have a problem with like harassing men. Like there's Tati and Jeffree Star can be totally wrong.
Yeah.
And you can still have this problem. So I will say that's one that I always.
It's crazy in the world we live in, especially here, especially on the interwebs, that people have a trouble holding multiple truths.
Yeah.
This person can be terrible. It's on top of my mind. Blake Lively may be terrible to work with. Her husband may be very annoying. She also said that she's a victim of sexual assault. Like, people like to say, if this thing, then this thing cannot be. And
that's not how the world. Yeah, that's not how the world works sometimes. Like, well, actually, we talked about this in our last podcast, the whole Naomi King, Daniel Green situation.
Mm-hmm.
More context came out. Doesn't negate the original point, which was it sounds like consent was rescinded or not given. So like
still doesn't.
It can be true that I think there's more context. My take on that whole thing is that they are processing complicated feelings about that situation.
Yes.
Yes. But the whole like, oh well, and it's like, I don't think
they were like, no,
it's
no,
like, no,
that's not what you heard.
That's not
what you want to think.
Yeah.
It's who has a commune? Christy?
Yeah.
Oh,
jeez. She's gone down the dark path. Sorry, I'm taking my Teddy Fresh cardigan off because I'm hot.
It is wild the lives these internet people live, and like some of them I know well and some of them I don't, like I only know by name, and then some like not at all. So it's so interesting because some of these people are so big and I'm like, how did I not know who these people are?
I know. Well, bless you. You don't know who XQC is or Sneeko or any of and you don't have and you shouldn't know because I know against my will.
Good. Good, because I feel like I know too many things. Like a quick little Jessica lore. I was in ROTC. Okay, look. Mm-hmm. Okay. But anyway, so
in my mind, you're like Major Pain. That's my vision of your time in ROTC.
This would age me. But anyway, I got in trouble because I wasn't watching the news about like an ongoing conflict by someone who wasn't even my sergeant. Because my mom didn't want us like to watch what was going on. She was like, "You're ignorant." And that's really when I like learned about like ignorance is bliss. But as an adult, every day, I wish I was more ignorant. I wish I did not know what was going on. I mean, kind of not, but I really don't. Like, I don't want to know. I know too much. So I'm glad I don't also know this.
No, I don't think you need to. I could use that brain space for other things.
Non-consensual internet knowledge.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes I click on a video not knowing I'm going to get more than what the video promised.
True.
This is how I found out about Sneeko and XQC.
They're like, not always, you always can't gauge by a title or a thumbnail.
Yeah, I didn't know that I would have to know about that because of other dramas that I was following. So,
yeah. Who's Johnny Silvestri?
Yeah, this is one of Colleen Ballinger's accusers who actually was like not credible. Like had some, I think, bad employee relationships, but essentially accused her ex-husband of grooming without credible foundation.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's the lore dump. Positive things that I've seen on the internet recently to do a palate cleanse. Speaking of Ramadan, I am very much enjoying Cats of Ramadan TikTok.
Oh my God, they're so sleepy.
So cute. They wake up and they're like, what's going on? Am I getting food early? It's so cute.
Bright light on.
Yeah. That is like my current favorite genre of video TikTok. Yes.
I love just like, well, there's not every dance trend, but there's currently a dance trend that just brings me joy. It's so funny. I can't even, I tried to do it today, fail, but I love watching them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to be positive.
Who is she? Where is she?
positive. Yeah, I'll have to get back to you.
I saw that the lady who Trump fired, that was the head of the National Labor Relations Board, just won in court and was reinstated to her position. So that's nice. Okay. That's positive.
Yes.
News we can
use. Amongst.
Yeah, we got to focus on news we can use because.
Yeah.
Positive.
Yeah. I just watched the Love is Blind reunion. It was terrible, but there have been very funny TikToks coming out about it.
Is that the one with the lady who was like, I don't want to tell what his views are, but I want to make mine very clear? I was like, that was a sermon.
Yes. Because I was like, well, girl, why didn't you ask earlier? But
honestly, why don't people, I don't
know. All the time. I'm always like, y'all are going to get married in a week and we haven't asked these questions.
What are y'all talking about?
Yes, they're always like, we talk so much in the pods about what?
About what? I'm talking to people for like 2 seconds and we're talking about like.
Yeah, hop to it. This is not the time for small talk.
Yeah.
Since we're here, I know we're at the end, but this is something I got to get off my chest about Love is Blind this season, particularly, which took place in Minneapolis. It was very beige. Okay. But one couple, homie's name is Ben, the girl's name is Sarah. She brings it up in the pods. These are both white people, asking him about politics. And like, she's recently, her turning point was what happened to George Floyd, because that happened in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
So she asked his opinion on that, like on the Black Lives Matter movement, on stuff, and he's like, "Oh, I really don't know about George Floyd. Like, I don't have an opinion. I didn't."
And you're in Minneapolis?
Hello? What do you mean you didn't? Everybody.
That would be like being from Tennessee and not having an opinion about Dolly Parton. Like, yes. What are you talking about?
What? And saying like, "Oh yeah, and I didn't vote," and so her being like, it's really important to me. She still ends up getting engaged to this man, and then he goes to church every week. She does not. Her sister is a lesbian. Even meets up with her sister and her sister's partner, and they're like, "So you're gonna go to church every week?" She's like, "Well, I wanted to go to I want to go hear them out, and we're both fiscally conservative but socially liberal." That's not real. And her sister was like, "Are you?" Her sister and her sister's partner are the best part of the show.
Way to go. His sister's partner is like, I didn't know that about you. I don't know that I like that.
Even if you are, most people who say that are not like voting in your best interests. Like they're not voting for you to have rights.
Can I tell you something adorable that my mom told me the last time I visited with her? One of her friends has been widowed and is recently like getting back out there, and she's on the apps, and she's like, she's finding that she will match with these men who say that they're moderate, and then she gets there and they're just like these MAGA weirdos, and I'm like, oh, it's every demographic. It's hitting the 60-70 plus as well. I'm like, mom, I hate to break it to you. This is like a meme on the internet. It's like, yeah, if you see moderate, you can read that as quite conservative.
Yes. And this whole season of Love is Blind was a hell of conservative men and these women who are like, but he has this they meet up with like his friends, which I'm still not, and a lot of people on the internet are still convinced these are fake people because there was conveniently he had a gay friend, whatever. She goes to the church. She looks so uncomfortable. She listens to a sermon, to listen to their stance. She's asking him all those questions. He's like, I mean, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You've been going to this church for years. But anyway, they just pissed me off because he kept being he kept saying things like, I support those people. I know some people in those groups, referring to queer people. And I'm like, ew, don't say it like that.
On a counter note, and I should go feed the cats here in a second, but on a counter note to that, I have a lot of parasocial joy because Allie Beardsley, their partner, is pregnant. And I love Allie Beardsley. They're on Dropout stuff a lot. They're an improv comedian. Mm-hmm. They're so funny, and they come from a fundamentalist Christian background. And to see them in their queer trans joy, about to be a parent, they're going to be the most chaotic parent I can imagine. But I genuinely teared up and was like, I'm so happy for them. Like, these are things, like, I'm having a little parasocial joy right now. It's like, this is, I only want to be around people who have, I don't want you to tolerate queer people. I want you to.
Yes. That's something her sister's partner was saying. Like, she's like, when people are like, oh, but we accept, and she's like, you don't need to accept me. What do you mean? Like, I just am. Like, I have to tolerate y'all all the time. Like, it shouldn't be some special, like, oh, we accept you for who you are. Like, it's very othering.
Yeah.
So anyway, her sister and sister's partner were the heroes to be of the season, but they are not together.
I don't know. This is.
I'm like, Sarah.
People who are falling in love with men, I don't really understand how they're able to do it very often, because it's just like,
I don't know either.
So many of them are.
So many. It's just like, ew. Like, someone said once in, like, I think it was a TikTok comment section, just like, yeah, why are we attracted to our biggest predator?
Yeah, basically. This explains Monster Romance, to be totally honest. It's like transferring our love of predators to
and those, what we categorize as monsters, probably a lot better than the men that we have.
Yeah,
but
I get wanting to do fun things with them, but
yeah,
it seems like it's very hard to find one worth living with permanently. But anyway, Ramadan Mubarak. Sorry, I don't feel like I'm saying that right, but I'm trying.
What is the Eid? Is that the ending of it? Is that?
I think so.
I'm sorry. I know the outfits be eating, and I can't wait to see the hijabi.
Yeah. It must be, because at the end of Ramadan we get the beat. Yeah.
Okay. Please. I'm like, damn.
I love on TikTok every year, people will go to their mosques and it'll be people. Oh yes, okay, thank you.
Celebration.
People will show other people at the mosque who are from different parts of the world, and like the different regional Eid traditional celebration fits, and it is just very fun. And I feel like, well, I can speak for white Southern Christians. Our Easter game has really dropped off. You used to have the full Easter fit.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, I feel like it's like the equivalent kind of holiday of like, you got Lent and then you got Easter. Yes. And we used to have the hats and like the, Ralph Lauren florals and the gloves. And I'm just not
think of a good Steel Magnolias. I'm seeing in my head. Yeah. Black people still with the hats, and because before we went to church regularly, that was like the one time my mom was like, "Oh, we got to go to church on Easter Sunday. You got to get your little Easter dress."
Yep. You got to check in,
Yes. Eid.
There you go. Eid Mubarak, Ramadan Mubarak. Love it.
Look at us, just always just learning.
Well, I appreciate people. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to learn about other. Yeah.
It's the one, I won't say downside, but it's the thing of like being a reader. Sometimes there's words I read for years and never have said or heard out loud. And I'm like,
yeah. Well, I don't know when we're next Watooting. I do have an idea of one that's not like tab related and is more of like a game. Which is like a fun version of hypotheticals and like would you rathers.
Okay.
One of my favorite podcasts has been doing them, and they're very funny situations, often involving the Grinch.
Oh, what?
So I thought it might be a fun, lighthearted filler one if we don't have drama tabs.
Wait, what podcast is it on Dropout?
No, it is Dropout adjacent. Everything in my life is Dropout adjacent. But it is NADPod, which is not another D&D podcast. But they also have like non-gameplay episodes. So they have like D&D Court, which is very fun, where they adjudicate. Basically, it's Am I the Asshole, but D&D flavored. And then this one is like, they call it Surprise Round. And it's hypotheticals, often involving the Grinch. that are very outlandish and very funny.
Okay, I might have to listen to that because I'm so confused. Where is the Grinch?
Well, I'll give you an example. You're scuba diving underwater, deep underwater, and something goes wrong with your tank.
Oh God.
You realize that you probably only have like a 40-ish% chance of just making a break to the surface and surviving. All of a sudden, from an underwater cave, the Grinch emerges. It's either the Grinch or somebody in a remarkably lifelike Grinch costume emerges and rushes over and begins fiddling with your equipment, making reassuring hand gestures to you. Do you stay and let the Grinch fix your tank, or do you make a break for the surface, knowing you only have a 40% chance of surviving?
Oh God. That's hard.
Yeah, that's why I thought it might be fun. A fun combo for us to adjudicate the details of some of these very outlandish hypotheticals. But
yes, that would be fun because that's redonkulous.
Well, I would not trust the Grinch. I would be like,
I would not take your reassuring hand gestures as reassuring. I'd be like, get off of me.
Yeah. I just don't think of the Grinch as an underwater creature.
I feel like their body substance or suit would get weighed. I
know. One of them was like, their fingers would be like tassels in the water. And I was like,
how are they going to help anything if they're just like,
I don't know. I don't know. I just don't trust the Grinch to help me with that kind of scenario.
No, that's so funny. Okay, yes.
We'll play it by ear. Jess has an unexpectedly busy month for exciting reasons, but it is unexpectedly busy.
Yes. Kathleen
this is a key question and one that you don't know in that moment because you're panicking.
See? That makes it so hard.
Yeah. It's hard. There's no Cindy Lou Who in sight to give you a gauge.
Well, if you're a deep, you can't ascend quickly anyway. So I'm going with Grinchy.
Okay.
Fair.
Now, if it was a mermaid, I would stay with the mermaid.
Yeah, but Grinch or
Grinch, I don't know about that.
I'd be like, where the hell are you coming from? Are you trying to pull me into a dangerous underwater lair? I don't know.
Oh.
Okay, that'd be fun to come up.
Yeah,
to come up with those.
Just lighthearted. So
yeah, you keep your eyes peeled like normal. We don't schedule things here.
Yeah,
we too much.
We're agile. We're quick.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey,
we see what happens.
Notifications on.
yeah. Turn your notifications on. But yeah, well, Jess, as always, it's a pleasure, an honor, a pleasure, and a delight.
Has a Grinch ever been?
We'll get into it, guys. Well, these are things you need to start thinking about.
Prepare yourselves.
Yeah.
It might exist.
It probably does, but I don't think of that as a sexy monster.
Not for me. But people might have. It might really like the tactile. Not me.
I don't know what it says that I'm like. Well, Minotaur, that's sexy, but the Grinch.
I draw the line.
No.
I have standards.
I have standards. I'm not Grinching around here. Okay. Well, you guys will see us when you see us.
Yes.
Take care of each other. Be nice.
Yes. Be nice. Chill out. Use the block button.
Yeah. Okay.